Today we're going to be talking about, in this particular lesson, draping. I've had so many experiences over the years, and it even has happened to me working in salons. It does happen at times, but you want to make sure it does not happen at any time. But this is we're not perfect, and things do happen. And then you have clients that come in that don't sit as still as they should. That can cause a draping accident to happen. Draping is vitally important. First of all, it helps to secure the client that you have. That's one thing, many things when it concerns cosmetology. You must learn how to drape your client properly. And not only drape your client properly, but within that draping and securing that client within that drape, you don't want them to get wet. You don't want them to have color all over their clothes. So that's the purpose and the reason for draping. How many times have you experienced going to the salon yourself or the barbershop men, and you were not draped, was not draped properly, and you got all type of debris on your shirt or your clothing, color, a pigment, or even a water running down your back because the stylist did not drape you properly. It's part of the profession as a professional cosmetologist. Many times you don't get it right as aforementioned because you're in a rush. You got so many clients that you're trying to do. And it can happen. You got clients, you got this person, you got that person, you got people back to back. You didn't manage your books properly, and now they're cooking. You got the clients in the shampoo bowl, you got one under the dryer, and so forth and so on. And then it gets to a point to where these particular clients are there for hours. So the time management is off. So it just throws the whole structure of your day off. And you always want to be organized, as a professional. Now, before any client consultation, I know we did touch bases on it, but let's get right into it. Or before any professional cosmetology service begin, make sure that your customer, your client, is draped properly. It can prevent a lot of different issues from occurring. Someone comes in there to get a service from you, and they have an appointment after they leave your salon. You don't want to have to pull out the hair dryer and put it on a high heat and grab the person by the back of the collar to be drying their back. Many of you know what I'm talking about. You want to prevent all of that. In order to do so, at the front end, drape the client properly, because it's really going to benefit in the long run. It's part of the client safety that it has been mentioned earlier, and not only safety but also comfort. Having to go through a service with a wet shirt, a wet back, it can be miserable. You don't want the client to be uncomfortable in any way because that can hinder things like tips. It can also hinder them from coming back. And then also they begin talking about you. They don't want it be going around in the community, especially with all type of social media. You don't have to go around in community today. You can just get into social media community, that is, and start sharing information about how bad and terrible you are as a beauty professional, and you're not going back to them because they always wetting you up. This make the third time that you wet that person up, and they're just sharing all that information about you and so forth and so on regarding that illustration. So you want your client to not only be safe but comfortable when it concerns draping. There are two types of draping that is used in the salon. We're speaking about salons here. I know it can go towards barbering, but we emphasizing salon. There is shampoo draping. We did emphasize that a lot so far. And so the shampoo draping is to prevent that client from getting wet, as I emphasize even more while they're at the shampoo bowl. People have different sizes of necks, shoulders. You have some individuals whose necks are long to where their head is bumping the bottom of the drain in your sink bowl. Their shoulders, you have the ones that have shoulders that are saying that are married to their ears, meaning their necks are, real short and stubby. And then you really gotta work them into a good position as you lean the shampoo chair back to the bowl, and you tell them to extend their neck. And when they extend their neck, it just runs down all down their back, around their shoulders, and onto the floor. I mean, you'll have many experiences. Please believe it. But you need to know how to accommodate to prevent that client from getting wet. No, it does not matter if they have long neck or short neck or just an average size neck. If you're not, cautious, you can cause a wet situation to occur. So the first type of draping is shampoo draping. Now, the next type of draping is chemical service, and you will be having, quizzes, test questions regarding this particular, because, hey, this is at the front end. You hear me? This is the first thing that you do when it concerns dealing with clients, and you will be tested on it. So watch it. Keep a lookout for it, all right? But you're learning something here, so that'll help prepare you for that particular quiz or test or question that you may have, and you'll know how to answer properly. So there's a chemical service draping is the second type of draping. Now, it's just like water. You don't want chemical, lingering or being smeared all over the customer's, your client's collar because of carelessness and not draping them properly. And you also don't want to, if you have a chemical on the towel that is around the client's neck, you don't want to reuse it. You want to put it in the proper place whenever you getting ready to shampoo that chemical service out of that client's hair. You always want to put fresh towels, a fresh draping, a fresh cape around your client, and not utilize the cape, that has been soiled before the shampoo, because then you can reintroduce chemical back on the client's neck, the clothing, and such and such. So you want to make sure that you are a clean stylist, utilizing proper techniques to protect not only the client but also yourself. And I can just go on and on about that. So there's chemical service draping. So the question is, all right, here it is. What are the two type of drapings? Correct. The first draping is shampoo draping, and the second draping is what? Chemical chemical draping. All right, now shampoo draping sometimes is called a wet draping. It is a draping that is used when clients in the salon for shampoo styling and so forth, and hair cutting services. Now that is a big one. Hair clippings. You want to protect the client from hair clippings. It can, different types of hair have different types of ways it can be cut. And, you have long pieces of hair, and then you also have hair that is stubble. That can get all under the client's neck and down the shirt and be sticking them and so forth and so on. So you want to also keep in mind that draping is vitally important also, not only for shampooing, not only for chemical service, but also for hair cutting. So be aware of that. Chemical draping is used for individuals that are receiving chemicals, and chemicals can burn if it's on the skin too long. So timers are vitally important. I use timers a lot in the cosmetology arena to make sure that you are on time taking that particular chemical out of the customer's hair at the appropriate time, so it's not falling all out in the sink or the shampoo bowl whenever you're rinsing the hair out. You don't want that experience. As I shared before, I had that experience, and I never wanted to had that experience again due to not paying attention. The smallest detail or the smallest mistake in cosmetology can cost a person a lot, and even yourself, because people, hey, they'll sue you. you shampoo their hair or put leave chemical in their hair and not shampoo it properly, they have you in court. So please, please pay close attention. That has never happened to me because that happened when I first started out in cosmetology as a young cosmetologist learning. And there was a certain chemical that I had, it was in the wrong bottle. And it was mistakenly, on the person's hair. And then they came back looking like Miss Jerry on Martin, low haircut, hair gone. And she came in there mad and upset and raging and so forth and so on. And yeah, at first I was like, I didn't do that. I mean, why are you blaming me for that? And then when it was investigated, it showed that that same chemical was in that bottle that was, was in the wrong bottle, labeled wrong, and that's where the situation occurred. So anyway, it was a situation, and I made sure throughout cosmetology years to pay close attention to detail because it can save you from lawsuits. Okay. All right, so when it concerns draping for a chemical service, be sure to read the manufacturer's directions regarding the chemical that you're using and be aware of the time that it's supposed to be on the individual's hair. Don't be this type of beauty professional that walks away from your client. You're on social media, you're talking, you're gossiping with other individuals in the salon and not paying attention to that client. And the client is over there just moving around, knees and butt hitting together, ankles are clattering, and and the steam is coming from the head because you left it on too long. So not only can this type of negligence, gross negligence as a beauty professional, happen when it concerns the loss of hair, but you don't necessarily have to lose hair all the time. It's the scalp that's damaged because that chemical is cooking it. And you want to be aware to pay very close attention to the manufacturer's directions when it concerns draping for a chemical service and using that chemical on the client's hair. If the manufacturer requires that the client hair should be shampooed before the product is applied, please do so. There goes back to detail. That's very important. But whenever you do shampoo a client's hair prior to performing a chemical service, you don't ever want to use your fingernails to scratch people's head, a scalp. You want to always use the pads of your hands, the front part of your hand, your nails never, and to lightly, don't worry about scrubbing. That can cause scalp abrasions and the person's hair will be on fire when you apply that chemical service. But if you do it lightly, you shampoo lightly, you massage lightly, not to disrupt the scalp in any way, and then rinse it out and towel blot the hair lightly, because keep in mind, step 2 will be following up with a chemical. And again, I emphasize again, a lot of emphasis in this broadcast, you're going to be applying a chemical service, so be aware of that. There are many different parts to procedures when it concerns applying a chemical service and even draping. The part 1, the pre-service procedure, is organized step plan that you put in place for cleaning and disinfecting. Now, that's going to be a video all in itself, teaching you proper hand hygiene, proper disinfecting, and proper, cleaning after each client. It's not enough time in this video. It can be enough time, but I don't want to extend it out too long. So be on the watch for that upcoming video. You do not want to miss it. There's a lot to learn. Part 2 is the service procedure. You have a step-by-step plan in place when it concerns the actual service with the client, such as shampooing, hair cutting, and hair coloring. So that's part of the draping aspect. You want to be always well organized, have things in a proper place so you're not reaching and missing things, and you're looking around at your cosmetology associate, asking them for things, and that's very professional. unprofessional, that is. You always want to be professional, to have everything in place, put everything in place before you begin that service, after you properly draped your client. Part three, a post-service procedure. Is a step-by-step when the service has been completed, because there will be a completion process, and you want it to be a successful completion process where the client is satisfied, to where you're receiving that tip and that payment for service. You don't ever want to anger a client, by, not doing what you need to do from your end to ensure that they receive the service that they had requested. Now, you hear this saying, people will say they are beauticians, not magicians. I could go on, but I'm telling you, this broadcast will be long, but I'm just going to share something with you right quick. I had a client come in some time ago, and you will engage with clients that come into your salon and sit in your chair, and they will request services that it's impossible to receive. And let me give an example of my experience. A client sat in my salon chair, and they wanted a haircut. And they pulled out a haircut, and do your research, look online, Google it, you want it short, like Tony Braxton haircut, that's real short, Halle Berry style, and so forth and so on. And they had long hair. Listen, you will have all flavors of clients. I'm letting you know from the front end. Be on guard, okay, to know how to handle them professionally. So she said she wanted a haircut like Tony Braxton, like Halle Berry, which are outstanding actors, Halle Berry, and an outstanding singer, Tony Braxton, outstanding. But they wanted a hairstyle like that, real short on the side, long and curled, and all these different type things with the curling iron. Hey, no problem for me. I know how to do it. No issue. But it would require hair cutting, serious hair cutting. So I said, well, what I'm going to have to do is, and always follow up. Use this particular technique or suggestion. You follow up. You allow that client to sit there for a moment before you begin that service. I know you have other clients, but just kind of gauge the time. Of when, to make sure that that's what that client wants. Have them to reflect and to think, and you emphasize to them, now this is how it's going to look. It's going to be short on the side. I'm going to have to use this particular tube, which means I'm going to have to use clippers to cut all of this 8-inch or 12-inch or 10-inch hair off in the back. Is that what you want? Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. As soon as the buzz begin on the clippers, they'll stop you and say, no, I don't think I want that much hair cut off. And can you just trim the ends a little bit? But nevertheless, what I'm getting to is that the client is at a point to where they want what they want on the page, but they ask you, well, no, that's not what I want, and just trim it off in the back just a little bit, but yet they still get upset with you when it's time to pay. They'll say something like, that's not what I asked for, and so forth and so on. And there's so many, 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 many different examples that I can give you. They will ask for something, they'll change their mind, and then you're following their instructions now. You're not doing what you want to do. Remember, you're not willy-nilly. You're not a willy-nilly beautician. Just do everything just without any regard. You're following their instructions, you know what they ask for, but yet they're confused about what they want. And then you also will have the clients, and then we'll move on to closure here, that come in and ask for it and commit to it. Yes, cut it off in the back, make it real short, taper it on the sides, the back, and you buzz all that hair off, and you curling iron it, and when you give them the mirror to look at it, they start crying. My hair, all my hair is gone. What have you done? And they just get all emotional right there in your salon. Everybody looking in the salon, who's ever there, the stylists, the clients that are being styled by the stylists, they're looking, they're just silent. and people are listening in like, what in the world? What in the world did Leon do? What did he do to that woman over there? I didn't do anything. It was the client. They asked for it. They showed you pictures. You did every technique possible to say, hey, listen, are you sure this is what you want? Hey, this is how it's going to be. Real tapered on the side. But it's a beautiful hairstyle at the end. But that's not the issue. They're upset or emotional because they finally made that decision that they thought they were ready for, to cut all of their hair off. And when it's done, it is done, and they don't know how to handle it. So you have all type of clients. So, but anyway, within all that has been said, make sure the client has been draped, whether they know what they want or don't know what they want. Just have that conversation with your client to make sure that's what they want. But the emphasis is here, this broadcast is draping. So no matter what services you perform, where you perform them, be sure you use safeguards that your client is draped properly. Well, that concludes this particular broadcast. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to this channel. There's a whole lot more in store that you don't want to miss, and more stories I might add. And also click that notification button. Go ahead and click it. Go ahead and click it. Go ahead, click it. All right, there you go. You're ready to go. So you can be informed when we upload videos to this channel. You will be notified. All right, continue to learn in excellence, and I will see you next time.